Samuel Huntington once said that the biggest clash between civilizations would occur in Asia, between the developing powerhouse of China and the leader of the Western world, the United States of America. Right now, his predictions seem true, and it's called the South China Sea conflict, and it's here now. Located in the highlighted area, the South China Sea is at the forefront of an ongoing struggle for one of the world's most important trade routes. So, what is the South China Sea conflict, and why should the world take an active part in its development? It all originated after World War II, as most of Asia's modern conflicts do. After the fall of the Japanese Empire, the bulk of Asian nations were left without properly defined borders. This caused a great debate over who laid claims to what parts of the South China Sea. China sought after the opportunity that was presented to it by weak Asian neighbors and a preoccupied Western society on its fight with communism to expand its influence through commercial exploitation and military occupation. China argues they have a historical claim on the South China Sea, and they mark it using a border called the Nine-Dash Line. The Nine-Dash Line was drawn after World War II when Japan lost control of the seas. The line encompassed 90% of the South China Sea. The South China Sea is incredibly rich in natural resources, with 11 billion barrels of oil, 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. It also claims 10% of the world's fisheries. But even more impressive, 30% of global shipping trade passes through it right now. Five countries lay claim on it. Most of them base their claim in the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in Article 57. It claims that the exclusive economic zone shall not extend beyond 200 nautical miles from the baseline from which the breadth of the territorial sea is measured. This area is called the Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ. In the Exclusive Economic Zone, the coastal state has sovereign rights for the purpose of exploring and exploiting, conserving and managing the natural resources. All countries use the 200 miles to claim their part of the sea, except China. The Spratly Islands is a remotely, barely inhabited cluster of islands at the heart of the South China Sea, currently claimed by China, Vietnam, the Philippines, and Malaysia. Any country that can claim the Spratly Islands can extend their EEZ to include them. Some countries have built ports and small buildings on the islands to claim them, but China believes all the Spratly Islands belong to them. An incident occurred on October 27, 2015, where a U.S. destroyer sailed 12 miles off the shore of one of China's artificial islands. China sent out their own destroyer and a patrol boat as a warning. The construction of the artificial islands in the area is called the cabbage strategy. The cabbage strategy consists on surrounding a contested island with as many ships as possible. In May 2013, China sent several ships to Anyang Shoal, which is just 105 nautical miles off the coast of the Philippines, well within their EEZ. In here, the Philippines has 8 soldiers stationed there. The Chinese sealed off the Philippines' access to Anyang Shoal with fishing boats, surveillance ships, and Navy destroyers, creating blockades so that the Philippines cannot receive supplies. By building their own islands, China is essentially building naval bases. The more islands they have, the more ships they can support, and more territory they can slowly take control of. But the dispute is intensifying. Countries are now actively arresting trespassers in waters that they have claims on. China also can take a step further. Since 2015, China has threatened to declare an air identification zone above the South China Sea, claiming that all aircraft that fly through it would need China's permission. In July 2016, the International Court of The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines, which charged China with invading their rightful territory in the South China Sea. China ignored the ruling, and there wasn't any enforcement. The US does not want to risk provoking a conflict with China, but on the other hand, they want China to stop bullying their allies in the region.